Hello! Surprise, surprise! Okay, we already have one viewer. Great. I think it should be nighttime for those of you in the US. So I think more of you probably have the chance to view this. In any case, let's get started. Vanakkam, namaste, and blessings to everyone. This is Dr. Bhairavi Balasubramaniam, PhD, the Sky Priestess, and today we are going to be talking about Mercury retrograde in Pisces and Aquarius, and also Mars moving through Capricorn. Now, this shift has just happened. A tremendous shift of energy has just happened within the past 24 hours. With Mercury stationing retrograde, I would say this is actually a very welcome change to the energies that we've been experiencing over the past few weeks. I mean, 2020 hasn't been easy. I think a lot of people felt like January was an entire year packed into a single month. And, with the intensity of the Capricorn conjunction in January dominating just about everything else, of course, the eclipse as well, we also then saw February to be more of a similar kind of intensity. So, what happened in February is that as soon as February started, Mercury entered the shadow phase on February the 2nd. February the 3rd, it then entered Pisces. So there was a lot of clamor, a lot of energy, a lot of intensity moving through January, and then February we start to see the shadow of the retrograde begin. So now, February 17th, in terms of universal time, it's happened. Now, for those of you who are wondering, it all depends on the time zones. Mars entered Capricorn yesterday, depending on which time zone you're looking at, but it's still within 24 hours of one another. So, Mars entered Capricorn, Mercury is stationed direct, and now we've got to figure out what we're going to do with everything. So, what I would say with this Mercury retrograde phase is that it's really not a bad thing, given how much intensity that has passed, that has happened. This is really a good opportunity for you to just take a chill pill. And when I saw the structure of the year, I just kind of went, okay, there's going to be a really big push and a whoosh of intensity in January, and then we're going to need some downtime. And I'm practicing that in my own life. I've been burning the candle at both ends, January and the first half of February, as you well know. So I'm actually going to be cutting down on available session times and focusing more on rest, and as well as consolidating some of the projects I talked about doing, whether it was the article on the dramaturgy of colonialism or the book proposal that I'm putting together for Therius the Hunter Stalker. And I'm going to be featured on another interview to talk more about Therius in 2020 because, damn it, people need to know. So it's really about consolidating the kind of things and energies that you had already started to experience in January, in February, and it's about really tying it together because when you move too fast, you don't have the time to go deep. Now, no one is telling you to put aside important issues. Social justice is not going to wait for Mercury retrograde to finish. People fighting for their lives, indigenous people in Canada fighting for their land, is not going to stop happening just because of Mercury retrograde. But what it means is that you've got to take the time to go inwards first. With Mars in Capricorn, our ability to act on our desires and to consolidate them increases. But going about it from a space of ego and triggeredness is not going to help you manifest what you can manifest in alignment with spiritual vision. So you got to take a step backwards. You've got to take a step backwards. You've got to take a step backwards to be discerning, to be clear in what you want to build and how you want to build it. So, this is the kind of energy that I want you to look at as an opportunity rather than something to be afraid of. Many years ago, I read this piece, and I just don't remember where it's from, otherwise, I'd tell you. But I read this analogy that, kind of saw Mercury retrograde as part of the inhale exhale cycle. So it's really about being able to just realize when, you're going forwards, and then, whew, comes the big exhale. And in that sense, it's a very natural part of your work. It's a very natural part of your energy. It's a very natural part of the process of building and creation. So it's not just about moving forwards and whacking it and hitting it. It doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. So just use this as a very, 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 important time for you to consolidate, breathe, and do an inventory check. Are you walking in alignment? Are you walking in ways that actually bring you closer to spirit? Are you investing your energy in long term projects that actually bring you closer to what your soul wants to manifest? Now, the reason why I say it's important to look at the process of building and consolidating and structuring with Mars and Capricorn in conjunction with Mercury's retrograde is because Mercury retrograde happens between the 17th of February all the way up until March the 10th. But after that, and we're doing this whole thing in Aquarius and Pisces, we'll talk about that in a second. But after that, Mercury will take about 20 days to actually get out of its shadow phase. Mercury leaves its shadow phase on March 30th. This is the same day that Mars leaves Capricorn and enters Aquarius. So, really, throughout this time phase, for the rest of February and the whole of March, we're looking at the opportunity to work with Mercury and Mars in tandem with one another because the timings are so close to each other. So, what we're being asked to do is move forward with our goals, but take the time to first rest, reflect, go inwards, and check first. Now, of course, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to be more vocal, be more engaging, especially in community, in groups, in social media, especially when Mercury is back in Aquarius. I'm just having a look at the key dates. When does that happen? So Mercury will be back in Aquarius for a short time between March the 4th till March the 16th. And this is where you really want to see, how you spread those ideas of whatever you're doing, whatever you're building, whatever you're intuiting to groups and to other people on social media. And that's really when you want to start emerging out of that shell. Between now till March the 4th, go inwards. Take the time, sleep, do deep breathing, go to the ocean, meditate. Do all of that stuff. That will really, really, really help you. You're still going to have to keep working. Life doesn't get put on hold. Remember, it is Mercury retrograde, so back up your files, take a look at your technological devices. Don't jump the gun when people speak. A lot of people get into fights because they assume the other person is saying something, and sometimes the assumption is right, and sometimes it really isn't. Especially with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, we're going to be seeing a lot of people being triggered by illusions that are projections of their own insecurities, especially if they connect to their perception surrounding their spirituality and also things that come through past lifetimes. So there's a lot of projection dynamic that's also going to be at play. So I would actually say take a chill pill. Take a chill pill, rest, go for downtime. Like I said, I'm cutting down on session time in this Mercury retrograde period to honor my own process and to honor my energetic levels. So for those of you who want to work with me, you are going to have to book fast because there are not that many slots for this time period. And whatever work is done is going to be of very, very deep and very, very intense. For those of you who are grounded, who are able to stay discerning, to stay grounded, to stay humble, to stay open, to stay clear in your connection to spirit, this will be a powerful opportunity for you to transmute old karma. Now, as you know, I have a Tier 23 program in which I go into a ridiculous amount of detail with the asteroids. This month alone, we're looking at the asteroids. Well, I say asteroids, but it's really astrological bodies: Thereus, Vesta, Boracici, Psyche, Neptune, and how all of them configure together and really help you, if you are at a place where you can do this, to work with a facilitator who is clear and to actually transmute old karmic patterns that are very old, that are very long, that are very difficult to find. Now, a lot of you wonder why I talk about facilitators so much, and it is because you should not have to do surgery on yourself. Too many people are too invested in the ego of saying, I did this on my own. It was just me and spirit. Bullshit. Some issues of a psychic nature need specialists to deal with. It's like if you had a brain tumor, you would not try to get brownie points by trying to operate by yourself. That is exactly the same thing with psychic and spiritual work. A lot of the times it's in your hands. You can do what you can do in terms of your own internal process, meditation, just coming to terms with your own mind, and that's really, really good. But some people are in very, very, very deep straits and very dire straits, and they've tried everything and it doesn't work. In cases like this, stop hitting your head on the wall and find someone you trust. So this is a really good time to do that, but you need to be absolutely certain that you can trust the person that you are working with, because a lot of delusion, a lot of deception, a lot of spiritual aggrandizement can also come up. So you got to stay with someone that you know you can absolutely trust in that space of facilitation. But it is also important to let people know that whilst I encourage everyone to do the best they can, there is no shame in going to a specialist when this is really something that is beyond you. There is no shame in admitting that you can't handle a situation, because frankly, anyone in the spiritual field or any facilitative field has had to go through that lesson, myself included. I mean, God knows there's so many things that I have had help dealing with. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. If I fell into the hubris of thinking that I had to do everything by myself, I'd probably be dead by now. No joke. So, it is really important for you to reach out to people who you feel can help you, and to also be realistic in what you can handle. Too often, the big brush of spirituality is used for people who are just starting, and people who've been working at this for lifetimes, and people who come, completely with a different paradigms on things. It's a huge brush, and it's used to cover everything. Stay discerning. Also know what level of frequency that you are at and what level of energy you are able to handle. Saying, whoa, this is as much as I can handle right now, is actually sane, it is safe, and it is smart. So do not be afraid of being able to say, this is what is healthy for me to work with at this time. This is why when I work with my sessions, with my clients, I make sure they read that document of mine that says why what I do is not for everyone. And it's not to make people feel special. It is to say you literally need to be able to work at that energetic threshold. Otherwise, go to someone who works differently. So find a facilitator who can give you that level of clarity, and that is so important in these times. Everyone has different needs, and that is perfectly okay. Now, coming back to the sky, to the skies, to the stars, to the planets. Really, this is a very powerful energetic time where we can get so much done if we do not give into the fear, if we do not give into the hype, if we actually take things one step at a time. Most of the time, it is our own ego and our own fear that makes things look a lot more difficult than they actually are. I mean, if you think about it, just think about how much all of us have survived energetically and in terms of planetary changes in the past few years alone. 10 years ago, could you even imagine yourself handling what you're handling now? That is, to me, that is proof. To me, that is proof that we are learning, we are evolving, even though this evolution for so many of you is so painful. And it is okay to respect that process. But I would actually say that's probably a good indicator for me to wrap up, since my brother's alarm has gone off twice. But effectively, take this time as the moment of exhale. Take this time as the moment of allowing yourself to tune in, consolidate, walk with spirit, go deep into the karmic patterns that you need to dissolve, you need to let go of, you need to transmute, you need to just say thank you, but no thank you. This is no longer in alignment with me or the planet. Allow yourself to go to that level, but that only happens with rest, with rest, with rest. It's not going to happen if you push it. It's not going to happen if you force it. It's not going to happen if you try to make it happen just because you want it to. It's got to come from within. So take care. Very many blessings. Lots of love. Ciao, ciao for now. Check out the attached write-up as well. Bye-bye.